All right, picture this. You've just spent 10 days flying around the moon. You've traveled almost 700,000 miles. But none of that matters as much as what happens next. The entire mission, all of it, boils down to just 13 minutes. A fiery, intense, high-stakes fall back to Earth.
Yeah, that's a direct quote from NASA. And just think about that for a second. 13 minutes where everything, and I mean everything, has to go perfectly. For the Artemis 2 crew, this isn't some gentle landing. Nope, it's more like a controlled crash from deep space, and every single second counts.
So the real nail-biter, it all starts in the last 100 miles. You know, after traveling all that way, this is the stretch where physics itself turns into this huge obstacle. But it's also, weirdly enough, their only ticket home. Okay, let's talk speed. We're talking about nearly 24,000 miles per hour. That's how fast the Orion capsule, which they've nicknamed Integrity, is going to hit the atmosphere. To put that in perspective, that's over 30 times the speed of sound. You could get from New York to Tokyo in less than 20 minutes at that speed. It's just mind-bending.
And this is the ship that has to somehow survive that impact. Inside, you've got the crew: Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen. Their lives are completely in the hands of this machine, which is basically about to turn into a man-made meteor with a very, very important mission.
So what comes next? Well, you could call it a trial by fire, literally. The spacecraft is about to get wrapped up in a massive fireball of its own creation. It's this brutal, unavoidable test of engineering, and its only job is to keep those astronauts safe.
See, when you're moving that fast, our atmosphere, the same air we breathe, acts like a brick wall. All that incredible speed, all that kinetic energy has to go somewhere. And where it goes is into heat. Incredible, intense heat from friction. It's violent, for sure, but it's the only way they can slow down. And the heat, wow. The outside of the heat shield is going to hit 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Let me say that again, 5,000 degrees. That's about half as hot as the surface of the sun. And the only thing between the crew and that inferno is a 16.5-foot wide heat shield. Meanwhile, inside the capsule, as they're braking hard against the atmosphere, the astronauts are getting pushed back into their seats. Hard. They're going to pull almost 4 Gs. That's like feeling 4 times your own body weight crushing down on you. It's intense. But here's where it gets really tense. This isn't just a textbook problem. The last mission, the uncrewed Artemis I, had a major issue. Its heat shield got damaged in a way nobody saw coming. Chunks of it were just torn away. So for Artemis 2, the engineers had to make a change. They're going in at a steeper angle. It's a massive, calculated risk, and you've got 4 human lives riding on it. So you'd think a 5,000-degree fireball would be the most stressful part of the ride, right? Well, think again. Because now, both the crew and everyone at Mission Control are about to hit the most nerve-wracking phase of all. Complete and total silence. 6 minutes. For 6 solid minutes, every link between Orion and Earth goes dead. No data, no biometrics, not a single word. The astronauts are totally alone up there, just a tiny capsule inside a storm of fire.
So you have to ask, why? Why does this even happen? What could possibly be powerful enough to just switch off all contact with a spacecraft?
Well, it's all about that intense heat. It actually cooks the air around the capsule, turning it into a shell of superheated plasma. And this plasma, it's like a perfect cage. It wraps around the capsule and blocks every single radio signal. Nothing gets in and nothing gets out. Down on the ground, in Mission Control, all they can do is hold their breath, stare at the screens, and trust that the math and the engineering were right. And then, after what must feel like an eternity, they punch through the blackout. They've survived the worst of the heat. Now the whole mission shifts gears. It goes from this violent plunge for survival to something more like a perfectly choreographed ballet in the sky. It all kicks off at about 22,000 feet. First, bam, the forward bay cover is blown off. Then, 2 smaller drogue chutes pop out to stop the capsule from tumbling. After that, 3 pilot chutes unfurl, and their job is to pull out the 3 giant main parachutes all at just 6,000 feet above the ocean. Every single step has to happen exactly on time. When you look at it all laid out, it's actually 11 different parachutes firing off in this perfect, intricate sequence. The whole system is designed to do one thing:
take this capsule that's falling at hundreds of miles an hour and slow it down for a nice, gentle landing.
And does it work? Oh, yeah. Just think about this transformation. The system takes the Orion capsule from a staggering 24,000 miles an hour all the way down to less than 20 miles per hour for its splashdown. That's just an incredible feat of engineering.
So the capsule is now bobbing safely in the Pacific. The most dangerous part is over. Now the final part of the mission kicks in, getting the astronauts home. You can just imagine the tension finally breaking as the focus shifts to the massive recovery operation waiting for them.
And check out how quickly this all happens. At 8:07 p.m., they hit the water. Perfect splashdown. Less than an hour later, the U.S. Navy recovery teams are right there at the capsule. And by 9:58 p.m., not even 2 hours after landing, all 4 astronauts are safe and sound on the deck of the USS John P. Murtha.
And there they are, back on deck, smiling, waving, just totally solid. After 10 days in the void of space and one heck of a fiery ride home, Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen were finally home. An absolutely historic mission, nailed. But look, this wild 13-minute ride was about so much more than just getting 4 people back to Earth safely. This was a test, a huge one, with massive implications for the future of all human spaceflight. So, what did we learn? Well, for one, it proved that the Orion spacecraft and its heat shield can actually do the job. It can bring people back from the moon. It also proved that all the complex recovery plans work in the real world. And maybe most importantly, this success clears the way for Artemis 3. And that's the big one, the mission that's finally going to put boots back on the moon. There's a quote from NASA that I think just perfectly sums up this whole new era. It really gets to the heart of the Artemis program. This was never meant to be just another Apollo, plant a flag and leave. This was step 1, the first step toward building a permanent human presence off our world.
Honestly, the safe return of Artemis 2 is just a massive win for engineering, for science, and for pure human guts. And it's exactly this kind of bold innovation that pushes all of us forward. That's what we're all about here at Innovatic, exploring the technology that's building our future. So make sure you join us next time as we dive into the next giant leaps in robotics, AI, and space exploration.